In this video, we are going to be talking about whether you should start your career at an investment bank or working for a startup. So let's get straight into it. What is going on YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Afzal Hussain. You can find out a bit more about me through the social media links below, or you can check out my website, which is www.afzalhussain.com. Before we carry on, I just want to say a big thank you because we're almost on 25,000 subscribers. I started posting a weekly video every Wednesday about 9 or 10 months ago, and to see it grow to 25,000 subscribers from less than 100 subscribers is just amazing. So I want to say a big thank you for taking the time every week to watch some of my content. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and if you have, turn on post notifications. Thank you. Okay, so working for an investment bank or working for a startup, this is the question that I get from a lot of students, and it's one that I've been meaning to address for a while, and so I thought, what better way to do it by doing it on a video rather than lots of emails. First and foremost, it's very important to be aware that working for an investment bank and working for a startup are two completely different worlds. They are completely different in their organizational structure. So when you think of investment banks or large corporations, they can have anywhere between 500 to 1,000 to 30 to 40 to 200,000 employees. So large corporations, an example, Goldman Sachs has over 30,000 employees. Compare that with the startup world. Startups typically have between 1 and 100 employees. So immediately the organizations are structured very differently. If you are a university student and you graduate and you join an investment bank, you are likely going to work in one of the many divisions that investment bank has, and you are going to work in one of the subsectors of a team within that division. So as you can see, you start off investment bank, lots of divisions, lots of teams within each division, and then you're going to be one of those members within a team. You are going to be very, very specialized in one small niche area. The longer you spend there, the more specialized you become. On the flip side, when you join a startup, you aren't going to be one member in a division of many divisions. You're going to be one member of maybe 30 or 40 or 50 employees. So you will literally be a large part of a company compared to being a small cog at a big company such as an investment bank. As a result, when you work for a startup, you tend to be a generalist and you tend to work on lots of different things at the same time. As a result, you wear lots of hats, you become a jack of all trades, as the saying goes, and so you become very good at knowing how a business works and running a business, because you're closely working with lots of different individuals from the top all the way down to the bottom of that organization. I say top to bottom, although startups tend to have a flatter hierarchy compared to investment banks, where it's very structured: analyst, associate, ED, VP, MD, partner, compared to startups where it's a lot more flexible. There's a lot less focus on the titles of these employees. It's kind of like everyone's in it together, everyone's grinding it out, everyone wears lots of different hats, and it's a small community, it's a small team, everyone's just working and growing together. Whereas in the world of banking, it's a lot different. I mentioned a few minutes ago that working for a large corporate, you tend to be a small cog in a big machine. And as a result, you can sometimes feel a bit useless, or you can feel that your work isn't really having an impact. Does what you do on a day-to-day basis contribute to the larger growth or value add of that organization? Compared to a startup, you aren't a small cog in a big machine, you are actually a big part of a small machine. And so you can definitely see the contributions that you make, you can see the value in the work that you do, because at the end of the day, it plays a big role in where that company goes. If you are working for a startup, you're likely to have more of a sense of self-worth and see the purpose in your role as opposed to working for a bank. FaceTime. So this is a big issue at present. A lot of organizations, both big and small, are trying to reduce the amount of FaceTime that they are pressing onto their employees. So what do I mean by FaceTime? When we say FaceTime, it basically means, do people care about you sitting on your desk and doing FaceTime, i.e. showing your face to the rest of the floor or the rest of the office that you're there. For example, if you are an extremely productive individual and you finish all of your work by 5 p.m, you should be able to get up and leave. However, previous cultures and the culture that was and somewhat is still in the world of investment banks is that even if you finish your work, some people, some senior managers, some employees expect you to sit there just to show your face. Now that to me is ridiculous and I don't believe in it. And so when we're talking about startups and investment banks, the FaceTime culture doesn't really exist in startups as much as it exists in the world of working for an investment bank. However, caveat, personally, I believe like if you're working in a startup, if you finish all your work early, it's good for you to get up and leave. I believe in a startup, it's important for all employees to kind of not just get up and leave, but you're one bunch, you're like a small team, and you need to bounce ideas off each other. And so being present as a team is important because it allows you to bounce ideas off each other, and that's how startups kind of progress and grow and provide more value and grow as a company. Whereas in the world of banking and finance, it's harder to bounce ideas off each other because this is actually a very important point. When you work for a large corporate, it's not easy to come up with an idea and then do it within the next day or two or a week. There's a lot of layers of approval and sign off that need to be done. So if you come up with an ingenious idea and you tell it to your manager, they'll probably say that's great, but there's not much they can do because they need to get approval from their manager. They need to get approval from someone else. They need to check if there's budget for it. They need to get sign off from compliance. They need to make sure it's okay with the firm's policies, so on and so forth. And by then, that idea has probably lost its spark. Whereas in startups, you come up with a great idea, your founder or your manager is likely to tell you, go and run with it. Go ahead, let's see if it works. Spend some time on it, do your thing. And so naturally, startups tend to be more agile and they have less layers of approval compared to working for a big company. One great thing about working for an investment bank or a large corporate is that you learn a lot of foundational skills that will be very useful if you decide to go and do your own thing or go and work for a startup or go and work in a different industry. A lot of soft skills as well as hard skills that they teach you, and so you become an expert at Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint, Word and all of that. You become very good at connecting and working with people, building relationships, making sure you work to a high standard under immense pressure. So all of these skills that you learn after doing the long hours, after working with different individuals, after working with difficult individuals, after working on lots of different projects at the same time, they really prepare you well for any career afterwards. At some startups, the intensity is there, but oftentimes a lot of startups have that branding around them that they can be a bit more flexible and relaxed, which I'm sure is not the case for many startups, but the intensity of working for an investment bank really does help develop you as an individual for your next career move. So that's a great positive to have. This one is very important, and I actually read this online somewhere, and he was writing why he left the world of banking in order to start his own startup. And he said, I used to love my boss's job. And the way he explained it was when he joined the world of banking, he really looked up to his seniors and he loved what they were doing. And he looked up to their seniors and he loved what they was doing. So he loved his boss's job and he loved his boss's job. Over time, he realized that he didn't actually love that job. He got bored of it. He saw his role and it got very mundane. He didn't see the purpose in his role. And so when he compared his boss's job in the world of banking and finance to a founder's job in the startup that he wanted to start, it appealed a lot more to him. As a result, he decided to go and quit banking and start his startup because he realized that that was the job that he fell in love with more. So it's often the case where a lot of people go into the world of banking and finance, and this is similar to me, and you can see yourself growing within that organization or growing in that industry, but then you look at your seniors and you look at their jobs and their bosses' jobs and you realize, you know what, this isn't my calling. I'm not as passionate as others in this area. I'm more passionate about entrepreneurship and what have you, and so you pursue those types of roles. So that would be a good way to kind of decide or realize if, you know, banking and finance is for you, or if you're more entrepreneurial, or you will suit a startup more than a big corporation. Also, one of the benefits of joining a large corporation compared to a startup is obviously that joining a startup is a lot more risky because you don't know when that startup might lose funding, run out of money, when it might have a strategic shift in direction, which might mean you're getting fired. So yes, working for a startup because there's less employees and there's not as much cash flow, maybe it's a lot more risky to work for a startup as it is for a large company. However, working for a large investment bank is also risky because you never know when they need to cut 2,000 or 3,000 jobs. And at the end of the day, although you are an employee, you are just a statistic within the 30, 40, 100,000 employees in their system. So when they need to cut jobs, if they need to cut you, they will probably cut you. Working for a startup might be for you, it might not. Working for a large corporation might be for you, might not. But my personal advice, and this is what I kind of did, is try your best to start your career at a well-known large corporation. If we're talking about working for an investment bank, I would say yes, start your career at an investment bank, do 2 or 3 years there, develop your skill set and just get that experience, because it's easier to move from an investment bank into a startup than it is to work for a startup and move to an investment bank. Whichever one you go for, when you stop learning, that's the time to move on. So always seek careers where you're constantly learning. You will learn so much working for a bank, but then you'll be doing the same stuff for a long period of time because there's a very structured hierarchy. So even if you're amazing, the person above you will be taking the lead and making sure you do the stuff that an analyst or an associate, etc. is meant to do. Whereas in a startup, you get a lot more freedom, you get the ability to run with the ideas that you come up with. And so if you're an explorer, if you're more entrepreneurial, the startup scene will be more suited to you. I highly encourage you to leverage LinkedIn and network with people from both industries. Meet people, talk to people, because only when you talk to people, you'll realize what the job is actually like, and you'll realize what the culture of that organization that these people are from is all about, and then you'll be able to make a more informed decision. On the topic of LinkedIn, I'll be doing a LinkedIn video next week, so make sure you stay tuned, make sure you check it out. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and if you have subscribed, turn on post notifications. If you've learned a thing or two from this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. It will help me a lot, so be sure to do that, and I will see you next week for top tips on creating a stellar LinkedIn profile. Peace! I will be visiting universities across the UK throughout the next few months, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, talking to them about how to ace internships, or how to secure internships, how to ace your interviews, how to construct a cover letter, a CV, everything that you need in order to secure Insight Week's internships, interviews, all of that. So if you are interested, drop me an email on info@afzalhussain.com, and hopefully I will see you at your university. Peace.